Hey, good morning, everybody. John Felt here. This is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Weather Briefing for October 20th, 2024. Theme of this briefing, mild and mostly dry and quiet weather. Let's get started. First of all, here's the rainfall over the last week. And you can see in the southwest U.S. we did have some needed rain in some areas, some heavy rain in spots. We also had some heavier rain over the Pacific Northwest and some snow at higher elevations, and over the Great Lakes some strong storms and up into the Northeast. Everywhere else really quiet, not much at all. We also had some higher elevation snow across the Rockies. Now if we take a look at the temperature average for the last week, you can almost draw a line right through the middle of the U.S. here. To the west, temperatures were well above normal, and to the east and especially the southeast, temperatures were well below normal. Now we had some hot air last week. Take a look at the temperatures reaching in the 90s in Texas and 100 degrees also in parts of Texas. We also had 100 degree plus readings continuing over the desert southwest, including Phoenix. Now, in addition to the hot weather, we also had some chilly weather, fall weather. Blue were readings in the 30s, purples was in the 20s. Now, if you're wondering where we've had our first frost, 32 degrees, here we go, anything shaded. Most of this was fairly recent in those areas of green. And if you want to look at where we had our first freeze, 28 degrees, hard freeze, here you go, anything shaded in these areas. So right now it's fairly quiet across the nation. We have a dry fall air mass. If you want to find some moisture in the air, you have to go down to South Texas or Florida. Everywhere else, this dry air is resulting in really nice, cool starts to the day and pleasantly warm afternoons. Now taking a look at river flow from our colleagues at the USGS, their sites, you can see that many areas green or normal flows, but we do have some areas still impacted from tropical activity, yellow being minor, and we still have these rivers down here are very, very slow to respond. So these will stay up for a long time, and we're still seeing major river flooding down where Milton affected central Florida. We do have some hydrologic impacts in this area right here shaded. That's due to some of the recent heavy rain. There is a concern for low flows, and that's going to continue for a while on our grain producing transportation rivers, including the Ohio. You can see brown being low flows, the lower Ohio, and then the middle and lower Mississippi. Here's Memphis and Greenville. We're way down low in those areas. So really the inflows from the Ohio River have been reduced significantly, so we get from the Ohio River on south and flows are unusually low, and that's impacting river transportation. Okay, so we're going to be looking at a couple features this week, but mainly this area of high pressure, and that's going to dominate our weather. Now we have this system here producing some heavy rain, but that dissipates very quickly over the next couple days, and we have high pressure over a large part of the nation over the next week. So what does that mean? Well, look at all the red here. Anything in these shades of red right in here, indicating 10 to 15 degrees above what would be normal for this time of year, and we're going to have a scattering of record high temperatures this week. So any way you look at it, most of the nation above normal temperatures. The exceptions could be along the Pacific Northwest and the western U.S. and the far northeast U.S. Perhaps in the later this week. Okay, now what about the tropics? Anything else out there? Well, we do have a hurricane, Hurricane Oscar, that developed over the weekend. That's going to affect Cuba and then curve up towards the northeast. It might have some impacts as a tropical storm across the Bahamas, could cause some change in cruise ship movement in that area. Other than that, looks pretty quiet right now. Here's some disturbed weather, but overall it looks pretty quiet. So I think we are wrapping up the hurricane season. That doesn't mean we won't get anything. The water's still really warm, but I think things are slowing down. Okay, so let's get back to rainfall, precipitation. I talked about it being so mild over the next couple weeks. Well, let's take a look at precipitation. And here we go. There's some rain, but it all looks pretty light. Onshore flow in the Pacific Northwest. Other than that, across the whole nation, if there's field work going on, agricultural field work, you're going to have plenty of good days outside. Okay, so let's go into the week 2. Well, really above normal. And this would be some needed rain if there would be rain in these areas. Now, I wanted to sort of wrap it up, sort of the big picture. Well, here's the 30-day temperature departure, and you can see over the plains. It looks like we're going to have a very mild, getting now into mid to maybe even, not late fall yet, middle fall, pretty mild. And look at the dry weather, anything in red for next 30 days, well below normal. If you were looking for some optimism in parts of the Midwest, well, maybe precipitation not quite so severely low, maybe a little bit more. Sort of a stretch though. And then here's the 30-day outlook for November that came out. So anyway, it looks like a very pleasant, comfortable week across most of the nation this week with warm and mostly dry conditions. Have a great week. Take care.